Well, good afternoon, everybody. There's a few seats up at the front. I'm the folks that always like to sit up at the front, but feel free to file in. My name is Adam Rush. I'm the Community Development Director for the City of Banning. Thank you for coming. I know there was a little bit of logistic challenges on our side with the accident that just occurred, so we hope everyone is safe and not injured. So we appreciate your patience. We'll go ahead and start with introductions. First, a couple housekeeping items. We're fastly brewing as much coffee as we can, so we'll keep an eye on that. There's free caffeine and sugar available at the back. Too much caffeine? Yeah, I can drink a cup of coffee and go to sleep, so it doesn't bother me. So appreciate everyone's attention. Andrea, part of my staff, she'll be passing out some index cards. We do have a couple of time constraints with some of the project team that had to fly in, so thought doing some questions on cards might make it go a little bit more efficient. So if you got a card, feel free to pass it down to the end, and we'll collect those. If you need a card, just raise your hand, and our staff member will go ahead and give those to you. So we are here to talk about the property directly across the street. As I said, I'm Adam Rush. I work for the city. We'll go ahead and do introductions first. So we have some mics on the table, but I'll give this to Ernie.
Hi. Hi, my name's Ernie Perea. I'm with the Romo Planning Group. We are an environmental planning and development firm that works for the city of Banning. We are hired by the city to produce what's called an environmental impact report and a specific plan for development of this project, and we work under the direction of Adam.
Hi, my name is Lori Leverett. I also work for Romo Planning Group with Ernie. I will be working with Adam and helping support him, and my main responsibility will be working on the specific plan document. You may be aware that this whole area was developed through a specific plan, which is just a long planning document, lots of text, lots of diagrams, outlining permitted uses, how buildings can be developed, things like that. And so I will be preparing that document for the area that we're talking about in conjunction with the city and at their direction.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. I'm Augie Gomez with the McCrae Group. We're a part of the ownership and development team.
Ron McCrae with the McCrae Group, and as Augie says, we've been owners of the property now for 8 to 12 years.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ben McCrae. I'm with LGE, and I'm part of the design group, so I'll be working on the conceptual design for the project.
David Sellers, CEO of LGE Design Build, and also a partner with Creation. We are partners with McCrae Group on the hopefully potential development on this piece of property. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Whoa, I got louder. Wanted to kind of address a little bit of potential confusion before we get started, because there's a lot of things happening in this area. Didn't plan it that way, although we're planners, and kind of just everything happened at one time. So wanted to go through the multiple projects, but all independent, that are within this area, kind of give you a little bit of information about those and help educate the community as to when is the appropriate time for each of those projects. So tonight we are serving two functions. We're serving a more technical legal function as conducting a scoping meeting. That is a term of art. That means that we are soliciting comments from all the stakeholders on a particular project. It is required by law when you have a regionally significant project, although common practice, as it is in this case, is just to do them regardless, just so we make sure that we're as transparent as possible. The scoping meeting will be relegated just to environmental comments. So issues with respect to traffic, which we know is a potential concern, air quality, greenhouse gases, biology, cultural, those types of environmental issues, we'll take your comments and record those as part of the scoping meeting. And then we'll go into kind of the main event, what I think most of you are here for, is just to talk about the project in general, what are the plans for the project, what are the general timeframes, things of that nature. So those are the two functions of tonight, specifically for the property, the Banning Point property right across the street, which is about 47 acres. It's between the Albertsons and the lakes, Freeway and Sun Lake. So that's what we're specifically here to address this evening. On Wednesday, so just 2 days from now, about 48 hours, there's a planning commission hearing for the Sun Lakes Boulevard extension. That is a city project. So even though Ernie and Lori are working on behalf of the city and we're drafting the document, the Sun Lakes Boulevard extension is completely separate. It is a city project that we've been working on for some time. That is going to Planning Commission on Wednesday. You are all invited if you so choose. Our chair of the Planning Commission is here, Commissioner Shaw. And that meeting is at 6:30 Wednesday night, City Hall Chambers. It's also broadcasted on Banning TV, so you can watch it live. That is specifically on a change to the city's circulation plan for Sun Lakes. Instead of going like this, we're just going to kind of go like this. So it's going to connect from where Sun Lakes terminates at Highland Home Road into westward versus the current alignment, it goes into Lincoln. And then thirdly, there is a potential project, and when I say potential, it hasn't been filed yet. It's just been meetings at this point on property located on the east side of Highland Home Road, where that Sun Lakes Boulevard extension is going through. So it will impact that project, but we're moving forward with that regardless of if that project goes or doesn't go for regional concerns. And that is what has been called the 5 points specific plan. It's kind of been on the books in various forms for a number of years. That's between Highland Home Road and Sunset, the city-county line, and the freeway. So that is a third potential project. Like I said, nothing's been filed yet. If and when it does get filed, it'll take some time because they have to do a master plan, full environmental impact report, things of that nature. So those are the three major things that are going on in this region. They all have to acknowledge each other, but here specifically to talk about property across the street. If you have questions on those other two projects, I have my cards. You can give me a call or I'll stay afterwards and we can talk about those. So with that, I'd like to turn it over first to Ernie, and we will, Ernie will kind of give a little preamble as to what a scoping meeting is, and then we'll solicit your comments as to that.
Thank you, Adam. In the state of California, we have something called the California Environmental Quality Act. It's called CEQA, C-E-Q-A, and it requires that all development projects undergo a thorough review of the environmental impacts that may be created by developing the project. This project, given its size and scope, is going to require the highest level of CEQA document that can be prepared, and that's called an environmental impact report. And the environmental impact report will examine all the impacts to the environment, ranging from air quality, traffic, noise, water quality, biological resources, cultural resources, etc. At this point in the process, we're only at what's called the notice of preparation stage, and we've sent out notices saying that an environmental impact report will be prepared. And this is what we're here tonight for, is to get your input on the types of topics that you think should be covered in the environmental document. Right now, we don't have any analysis conducted. We don't have really specific answers on what the environmental impacts are. We're at the point of gathering information. After this meeting, March 21st is the deadline for submitting comments on what should be included in the environmental impact report. And then we will begin preparing the document, and it will go out. Once it's prepared, it will go out for a 45-day public review period, and everybody could read that document and comment on it at that time. And it will be considered by the Planning Commission and City Council before any formal action is taken, whether to approve or disapprove the project. So in a nutshell, that's what the environmental impact process, environmental impact report process is. So some of the comments that we've received so far is look at traffic, and we're going to do that. Look at some of the other things. We're going to look at air quality. We're going to look at impacts to greenhouse gases. We're going to look at impacts to noise and things of that nature. And like I said, these will be fully disclosed in what's called an environmental impact report document. So does anybody, are we going to take any questions at the time? Okay.
So it looks like most of those questions are here. So I have address traffic issues. We definitely are addressing traffic. Sun Lakes Boulevard, Sun Lakes Boulevard, traffic timing of signals on Highland Springs, and what is the big gray hole? I don't know what the big gray hole. Oh, okay.
Great big gray thing in the middle of your.
Oh, okay. All right. It's more of a rectangle than a hole, but I get what you mean. So, in regards to traffic, and at this stage, we may not have a lot of answers, but we are in the beginning of the process. So, I can't say whether there's going to be impacts or not as part of this project to traffic, but it is something we are going to address. So, as part of the process, a traffic study will have to be conducted. The rules are changing after the summer, so we're still operating under the old rules, but acknowledging the new rules as those come into play with respect to how traffic is analyzed. Traffic report will be prepared. It'll be reviewed either by city staff or by our consultants. It'll be integrated into the document, and then that document will be published for everyone to look at as part of a 45-day review process at the end of this environmental process. So we will be addressing traffic. We have already done a traffic analysis for Sun Lakes Boulevard, and it does show that it does help traffic regionally when that is connected into Sunset. So it is a high priority project for us. It has funding, so we're moving forward with that because of the issues with Highland Springs and things of that nature. Highland Springs, timing of signals, I'll have to, whoever wrote that question, I gave you my card, I'll have to look into that, see if that is a project that we have moving forward. I'm not sure off the top of my head. Our city manager is nodding his head in the affirmative, so yes. So that is also funding that we get through the Air Quality District for timing of signals. This project, Sun Lakes Boulevard, potential other projects will all pay into that as well. So we definitely know traffic is an issue. We're not ignoring traffic, and it will be addressed. From an environmental perspective, are there any additional concerns? You can just raise your hands. Yes, ma'am.
When you stir up the dirt, is there going to be like things to minimize the amount of rounds? I know I have a bacterial infection from the outburst being,
Yes.
people are probably worse than I am.
Yes. So fugitive dust mitigation, it's kind of an odd term, and it's not like it's breaking out of jail, but if dust crosses the property, that is not allowed under the AQMD district. If you've driven by a construction site, you've probably seen those big signs that said, see dust, call this number. AQMD is very, very strict, sometimes to a fault, but they will come out like immediately. You have standard mitigation practices, water trucks, you have to have water on site. You have to make sure that you're grading when the dirt and the material is wet. You cannot grade or do any earth moving activities if there's high winds. Obviously, we get high winds in this area. The threshold was sustained gusts of 25 miles an hour, but I think that's changed. So it's in the code. If it's really windy, you just really can't do any work because there's no way you can put down enough water fast enough to combat the wind. So those are all mitigated and enforced by the city. And then also AQMD, that's the Air Quality Management District. That's a regional agency that basically governs all of Southern California except San Diego on all air quality issues, including dust. I saw a hand. Yes, ma'am.
In the past, access to the property has been a major stumbling block. How are you going to access the property now? And also, I don't know if this is the time, but when a big project was proposed years ago, I live on the street that the property backs up to, my backyard. And at that time, regardless of what went in, we were promised a buffer zone to protect our property.
Mm-hmm.
At first, they wanted to come right up to our backyard fence with all this stuff. So I hope you will be addressing that. And also, if it goes to the planning commission, I haven't heard anything about it. We're supposed to be notified in writing. How far are you?
Several months. So as Ernie mentioned, the NOP process just was sent out. That's 30 days. We get all the comments. We are required to address those comments in the EIR. So like I said, we may not have answers now, but we will. That document will be drafted, all the studies will be prepared, it'll be approved by staff, and then it'll be released. And state statute is 45 days. So the public, stakeholders, all the agencies have 45 days to formally comment, even though most of them are involved through that process. After that 45 days, there's another 10-day notice before the Planning Commission, there's another 10-day notice before the City Council. So there'll be, including tonight, 4 formal public meetings that will occur, and we will be notifying both. We're required to notify everyone at the 300 feet, but as part of this project, we'll send notification to the HOA and they can notify the community. Access, yes, sorry. So I think we'll probably talk about that more when we talk about the project design. And there are access points on Sun Lakes and then on, forget the cul-de-sac, Sun Lakes Village Drive that are proposed. Those access points are going to be determined by the traffic study. So, the young lady in the pink, Mr. Moyer, and then this young lady in front. So we'll go right over here first.
The prior project that she's talking about required a change in zoning. This project does not require any zone change, correct?
It does. So the project is one project. The applications are many. So there is a specific plan amendment, which is a land use change. There's a general plan amendment to change the zone. There's also a change of zone to change the zone. So the general plan changes the land use, change of zone changes the zone. They're one and the same in the sense from the allowable uses. And then the EIR. So it does, that's why it has to go to the commission and the council, and it requires the EIR. So the EIR is the environmental process. It is a specific plan amendment to the underlying zone, which has all the uses in there that we will then write. We're not at that stage yet.
But it does require a change.
Yes. Yes. Mr. Moyer?
And I know you said you're going to address access, but at one time there was a discussion about tearing down the Rite Aid, the now vacant Rite Aid building, and pushing Second Street through as an access. Is that on the table, do you know?
I would say everything is on the table as far as it being possible, but I don't think that's preferred. And I haven't heard any discussion in the year that I've been here about really pursuing that. So, yes, ma'am.
Okay, all of these facilities that you have planned, looks like mostly restaurants, am I correct?
Not all restaurants, but essentially there's commercial in the front, which does include restaurant pads, mixed-use industrial in the back, and mixed-use office. Those are the kind of the general land uses.
The reason I'm asking that, on Sun Lakes Boulevard and Highland Springs, we can't even get it under the freeway to go shopping on the other side. It's overdone now, and there's a study being done by Caltrans about this. However, in order to alleviate these issues, the traffic that would be brought to us by that particular. When they were basically trying to approve this a number of years ago with 6 auto dealers and restaurants and medical buildings, etc., this was declared that we were landlocked on this property, which we are still, because there's only one way out. Sun Lakes Boulevard, who knows what the answer is there? It's been promised for years. So this is predicated on Sun Lakes Boulevard being put through or not?
Not necessarily.
Well,
So-
that would create a terrific problem. We could never get off our street on Sun Lakes Boulevard to go anywhere.
So the Sun Lakes Boulevard extension is a city project, and it's moving forward independent of this project and anything else. So if nothing else happens, Sun Lakes Boulevard, that project is still moving forward.
What I'm saying to you, if this is approved and Sun Lakes Boulevard is still dead-ended, then we have no opportunity to leave our homes to go anywhere. So we would be impacted tremendously if you're on Gate 1, Gate 2, Gate 3, Gate 4 on Sun Lakes Boulevard, where we come out of. We all have to go to Highland Springs to get out of here.
Understand?
And then if there's a fire or the ambulances and all the things that, I mean, and there's no overpass at California, I mean, we're in a bad position here.
So completely understand that. As part of the analysis for this project, that all is going to be addressed. We would not allow a project to go forward that creates that significant of an impact to the community.
Well, the traffic on those particular things could bring 3,000, 4,000 cars a day. And they were going to build that medical center, was going to have 1,500 cars a day. I live off of Gate 2, so I live not adjoining it, but on the other side of the street. The noise factor, the other thing, the lights, and the traffic is almost, for us, impossible as Sun Lake people to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, wonderful to have the project, but in a different place, it would be wonderful. But
So
this place isn't wonderful for that.
even if this project wasn't going forward, there's two things that we're doing right now. As I mentioned, Sun Lakes Boulevard extension a couple times. There is a meeting, it may have happened last week or this week, with Caltrans and the city of Beaumont for the I-10 Highland Springs expansion. So both of those projects are moving forward as city projects. Sun Lakes Boulevard, the design and the environmental, so everything up to the construction is completely funded.
What
Highland
I'm,
Springs-
what
just
I'm
let me-
saying, though, is that if they approve this and they start building it and none of the other stuff has happened, we are in trouble.
So what I'm trying to, I may not be communicating it correctly, is I'm trying to say is Sun Lakes Boulevard and I-10 and Highland Springs are moving forward. This project, even if those projects die, which they could, it's possible, this project is going to be required to do what they will be required to do. That may be bringing Sun Lakes out to sunset. That may be, and that they will contribute to the I-10 Highland Springs interchange. So the project is going to be required to make the improvements that are required for their project, and we have to look at each project individually, and then we have to look at each project as a whole. So, a couple more questions. We'll try to get to everyone at least once. So, this right here, and then this gentleman and that lady.
I think you mentioned that the big gray hole was mixed-use industrial.
Correct.
Is that going to mean that there will be semi-trucks coming in and out of there?
Not necessarily. We haven't identified any uses. So at this point, it is a big gray box. It could be multiple uses. It could be one use. That's why, one, we're here, and that's all going to be identified in the process. So at this stage, it wouldn't be, well, at this stage, a developer is typically not going to have enough information nor approvals to go out and start marketing to tenants. So we don't have any tenants. What we're trying to do is set everything up for those future uses, for those restaurants to go in, for those offices to go in. So, yeah. But the specific plan will have a list of uses that are allowed and a list of uses that are not allowed. Yes, sir.
I'm probably asking a question that is not to be asked, but assuming all your pieces fall into place, what kind of time frame are you at as far as digging and constructing and start breaking ground? What are you looking at? You must have some kind of figure in your head.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing development for 17 years, and there's plans that I approved in my first year that still aren't built, and there's lots of things in between. So it all depends on the market. I think for the Sun Lakes Boulevard extension, we're moving forward with that quickly. A project like this will take anywhere from 12 months to 18 months to go through the process. That's just this process. Then they will have to come in with site plans. Because of the process we're going through, that second process will be easier because all the environmental will be done. That's about a 4 to 6 month process. And then building permits and improvement plans can take 4 to 6 months. So if everything falls into place, we're looking at 2 to 2.5 years for actual dirt in the ground or shovels in the ground. And then the project like this will likely be phased as well. So full build out, several years. We'll take this right here. And then I'd like to move into just have the project team give their update, kind of what their vision is. I think that'll answer some questions. Then we'll go into the general design questions. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to back up a little bit and say Highland Springs is a roadway divided by two cities, Beaumont and Banning. I would like to see more answers on how these two cities will work together on this traffic problem. I think that's where we need to go back to, because all of a sudden things change, traffic you can't get through, people have issues, ambulances can't get through. So I think that's one of the major things to look at, to see where we're going to get cooperation between the two cities. That has not happened. We've lived here since '91 when Sun Lakes was still developing. And Beaumont has gone ahead, got their shopping center. We paid for Melrose. And this is where we're sitting right now because Banning isn't moving ahead or standing up to Beaumont. Whatever is happening politically, that's what needs to be addressed.
I agree with you. I would say a lot of that has changed and is changing. Specifically with the I-10 Highland Springs, there's an agreement, and it's an executed agreement between Banning, Beaumont, Caltrans, and the county. It's the county commission to move forward with Highland Springs. So we've all come together on that. Other issues to work out? Absolutely. I have a very good relationship with my counterpart in Beaumont. We talk almost weekly on different issues that are going back and forth. So I could say with some confidence that a lot of those issues have resolved themselves and we are moving forward. There's a lot of development happening. As I mentioned, there's these 3 projects all kind of came online independent of each other. So things are moving. We just have to make sure that they move in a smart manner. So at this point, I'll hand it to who wants to do your project update, gentlemen? You? Okay.
Being the developer at these things is usually not the most popular person, so. I want to just give you guys a little bit of background on our company, a little bit about our vision and how we execute projects, and I'll hand it over to Ben McCray, who's an architect and partner with our architectural firm. So one thing that makes us a little bit different than a typical development firm is that we are the architect, we're the builder, we're the owner. We stay in these projects long term. We put a lot of passion, blood, sweat, tears into our projects. If you look up our website, it's lgedesignbuild.com. You'll see the kind of work that we do. We just brought a couple examples of different projects, and I can guarantee, I heard someone make a comment that they should sell their house now because it's going to take a couple years for the project to go through, and I would guarantee that the value is going to be higher when we get done with it because of the quality of the project and the amenities that we bring in to projects that we work on. We'll bet on it. Here's a few retail examples. These were over here, but Alamo Draft House, it's a dine-in movie theater. This is in Tempe, Arizona. This was a shut down, dilapidated retail center where we came in, rezoned it, tore the project down, and built this dine-in movie theater, restaurants, retail. It's very walkable. It's a beautiful project. We do a lot of projects in a town called Gilbert, Arizona, which has turned into this foodie hub for the Southeast Valley in Arizona, Mesa, Gilbert, Chandler area. And we've developed a handful of projects down there. One of them called Heritage Marketplace. We won several awards. It was about 72,000 square feet. I think it had 13 restaurants by the time we were done with it, all kind of unique, not cookie cutter stuff. This is one kind of similar where this had a community very similar to it in Scottsdale, Arizona called The Grove. And there was a church on it where we had to come in. The church wanted to sell. They went out for RFPs. We answered the RFP. And we won to buy the property, and just the kind of design and care we put into the project and the tenant selection we put in the project made it what it is right now, and I think everyone that's surrounding this project is really proud of it and happy that it's a neighbor. This is another retail project, so you can see that I wanted to bring examples of the retail developments that we don't do some of the stuff that you guys see in Beaumont or some of the stuff you've seen in Banning so far. We don't do drive-through car washes, and we don't do Circle K's, and we don't do Taco Bells, and we don't do McDonald's. They all have a lot of design and architecture. They all have a lot of design, and they have a lot of effort put behind them. I think just selling pads is one kind of development, and we kind of do the opposite. On the other hand, the thing that we do is we build companies' headquarters. We typically don't go in and just build big spec industrial tilt buildings. We're building buildings where there's going to be companies that are occupying them. There's going to be jobs. They're going to have employment revenue, sales tax. So a few of these examples, Crown Castle, anybody with a cell phone uses Crown Castle every day. This was their Southwest Regional headquarters in Chandler, Arizona. Tier Tactical, they build armament for the federal government. That's in Arizona. Crown Castle, or Crescent Crown, I'm sorry. That's a 400,000 square foot building full of beer, and I can give you their address if anybody wants to go there. So you can see, once again, just like the retail, there's a lot put into the design, but I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of background on what we do. Our company's been around for 26 years. We've got 82 people employed full-time, and that's in design, and that's in construction, and that's in development. We just opened our first satellite office in Dallas, Texas, so we're trying to grow at the same time. And we just think this is an incredible opportunity to come in here, build out a kind of retail that maybe hasn't been seen in the area so far, and then also bring some employment that creates jobs, that pays sales tax. The construction sales tax on this project alone, I mean, we're looking at a project of probably $75 to $100 million of total spend. I mean, so you're talking about sales tax in the $6 to $8 million that would go directly to Banning. So that's always a big benefit. But I'll turn this over to Ben McCray. Like I said, he's a partner and going to be the architect for he's the architect behind a lot of this stuff, but also the project. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Well, as David was saying, you know, the projects that we create are unique to each site that we employ. So for this project, how we've conceptualized it to this point is we focused a lot on the retail frontage, commercial retail. So it'd have restaurants, office, opportunity for a dentist. We really don't know what tenants would be there, but we want to create as we've conceptualized in some of the renderings. I know as you all walked in, you got an opportunity to see some of the renderings. And these are really early concepts. What we're looking at is smaller scope retail buildings that are unique. They're not the cookie cutter stuff that you see, like David said, with the McDonald's and the Taco Bells. It's kind of boutique, it's placemaking. So that's a unique approach that we take to the architectural side. So what you would see here is a more pedestrian-friendly canopies and shade and wood soffits to bring some warmth to it. A little higher end material than you might see on a typical spec building. We have a big focus on landscaping, actually. I think I heard a question about buffers. So between the projects, we have a focus on landscape, so nice trees. Like when you're out on Sun Lakes Boulevard right now, between the vacant lot and this project, there's some big mature trees. So we acknowledge that those exist. We see mature trees growing over time around the full perimeter of the project as well. So not only do we have these great retail environments with the canopies and the shade, and you could imagine coming here for lunch or coffee, but maybe even an appointment today if you had like a dentist or something like that. So, you know, we're really looking at this placemaking that would be direct access from your community. Thank you.
Mr. Mike Chair. Excuse me, Augie, Ron, you guys want to mention anything?
Hi, everyone. I think Dave and Ben said it best, but just to give you a sense of where Ron and I are coming from as the property owners, everything that Dave and Ben have talked about are all of the reasons why we brought them to the team. It wasn't good enough for Ron and me to find a random developer or a random architect or a random planner and bring it to you and somebody who had no equity stakehold in the project. Ron and I are very interested in exactly what Dave and Ben and Bob and their team bring to the table, which is a sense of place, a sense of ownership in everything that they do, and really bring in a quality that we think will actually attract the tenants that we want to come here. The last thing that we want to do is compete with what's across the street. We want a certain type of tenant that will look and say, I want something at a little bit of a higher level. I don't want to compete, in what's going on across the street. I want something a little bit more quality that folks like you and that's complementary of your beautiful community. And when Ron and I were first involved in acquiring the project, we basically fell in love with your community, looked at it and said, this place is beautiful, right? Why not bring a project to the table? The reality is that given where the market's gone, all of us know that it's taken a long time to recover, but we think that now is the right time to bring a team like LGE and like Creation to the table to really bring this project to life. Incidentally, Ron and I experienced something very similar in Dallas, Texas, and we've sort of felt the same level of frustration. We had a freeway frontage property that we really thought we needed to bring something different to the table. We were able to convince the residents and the city to get on board from start to finish. It took us about 14 months with great cooperation from the residents in the city, and we completely turned around the character of the project, broke ground on it start to finish. It was 14 months, and it was a $75 million project. So the other thing about a group like LGE and Creation is when they come to the table, they're a very serious group. They're not interested in pitching you all pipe dreams. they're here, they want to do something real. And so we're happy that they're now a part of our team, and we're happy that we could come and talk to you and explain exactly what and why we're trying to do what we're trying to do here. So thank you again. Yes, sir.
That merger, in other words.
Is that in relation to access, as in will there be a way to?
And also trying to bring up the property.
I think the answer is there's no question that we'll do our best to integrate both properties where it would look as seamless as possible for you all. You obviously have the ability to take advantage of everything that we're trying to bring to the project. Yeah.
Okay. Can I just sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to go over like 3 quick points, and then we'll open it up
Go ahead,
for
Al.
comments. And and Augie and Ron do have a flight to catch. They need to leave about 6:30, so if they excuse themselves, we won't hold it against them, but we'll invite them back later. So kind of what the process is at this point is we'll have the scoping meeting, document will be prepared. Concurrent with that, the plan will be prepared. The next time, unless we talk individually, that you hear something kind of on the aggregate is we'll release the environmental document for its review, and then we'll have the planning commission hearing after that. Obviously, those are our public processes. In order to be as transparent as possible, the consultant that is writing the EIR and developing the document is on contract with the city. They are funded by the developer, so just want to be honest with that. But my office manages the consultant to make sure that we're kind of walking with one vision, but that we're looking out not only for the developer's rights to develop, but also the community. We're early in the process, so the reason that we're here is to hear your comments. Like I said, we may not have answers for everything, and if we don't, I'll just say we don't have an answer for that right now. We'll take the notes down, and we'll definitely get back to you later through some other means. So, do you have one? Ron, you have a comment? Sorry, did I steal the mic from you?
Everybody, thank you for coming here this evening. Is that better? I just want to make the comment, when we purchased this property some 8 years ago, we did look at the zoning of the property, and we realized that it's a specific plan, and we understood what was allowed within the context of that zoning, and that was largely commercial development. And we thought that the best use for the land was a regional shopping center with multiplex theaters and some of the things you probably don't like, but I hadn't met you before, drive-through restaurants, a lot of the uses that go on 7 days a week and some 24 hours a day. The regional developer that we did have with us, those were the kind of uses that he planned. Today, we have something quite different, because that kind of development, there's no question, it's going to generate a lot of traffic, and it will be going in and out most of the time. And with the zoning that's in place, there's not an awful lot you can do to stop someone, for example, like a car tire shop with their riveter going all day long. If you've been near one of those shops, you can imagine what it's like. What we have today is a team that, believe me, are really skilled. They're partners with us in a number of projects now. We just feel very fortunate to have them, but I also feel that it's fortunate that you have them here, and that they're going to take this project and do something different than a multiplex theater that would probably drive you all crazy. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you. Andrea will be walking around the mic, or walking around with the mic, and please use the mic if you don't mind so everyone can hear you. So I'll just leave it up to you.
Question for LGE, I believe it is. You have beautiful work you've done there in Arizona. I understand you're also headquartered in Dallas, Texas. You ever worked in California before?
We've heard it's really easy.
I'm sorry.
No, we have not.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Are you able to discuss at all any of the restaurants or businesses that you're trying to come to the property?
Right now, it's too early. You know, any development that we do, this is the very first step. So you all are the first group we've met with. We need to work hand in hand through this process to get our design and the access and the traffic and get all this stuff figured out. Once we know there's a development and it's moving forward, then we get our team on it and we're starting to canvass a market for tenants, try to bring tenants from other markets here. But right now, our number one goal is to work with stakeholders to get a design that we can all support.
Just a quick comment. Don't forget to provide for golf cart access.
Noted.
Hi, I just have a question. Where would the main entrance of this project be? Off of Sun Lakes Boulevard?
Yes. So at this point, the main entrances, and like I said, that'll be determined when we do the studies, are going to be off of Sun Lakes Boulevard and potentially a access point off of Sun Lakes Village Drive entering the project on the west side.
Thank you.
If you have a question, just please raise your hand, and then Andrea, we'll try to get to everybody. Yes, ma'am.
Where is this Sun Lakes Village Drive? I'm not quite sure.
It's the cul-de-sac right off of, right behind, yeah. So it's as you're driving west, it's a right in there. It's a cul-de-sac into the shopping center, the
okay.
back of the shopping center.
Okay. And also, you talked about changing zoning. What are you changing to? What zoning are you changing to?
So the existing plan is commercial. Excuse me. The existing plan is commercial. As Ron and Augie have said, that's been commercial for many years, and through various reasons it hasn't developed. So the plan at this point is to change it to 3 different zones: retail, business park, and professional office. Those zones have I think someone mentioned it, a laundry list of items that are in the zone. Those are existing zones. What we do through the specific plan amendment is we can go in there and tailor, like in the commercial zone, we can have massage parlors and tobacco shops. Well, we can, and I think Ron mentioned that's in there right now. We can surgically take those out and say we don't really want those in this zone. So we can tailor the zone within certain parameters to what's most appropriate for the property.
What about big box stores? Are you considering them at all?
Are you talking like Best Buy and Target and things of that nature?
Yeah, bigger ones where there'd be a lot of trucks coming in, you know.
Costco? Yeah, I think and I'll let the ownership and the developer talk more, but from my experience at this stage, there's really no discussion about tenants. We would love everyone wants Trader Joe's, everyone wants Costco. And I worked on a project in another community that went through several iterations, and out of the blue, we got a Costco. So we would love to have that. I don't think there's any outreach to tenants at this point in time. Once we get through the process, we set it up for certain parameters, and then they go out and do their marketing. Is that a good synopsis? Okay. Do you want to respond, guys, or you good?
I'm sure that the projects you've done in these other areas were very nice, and you should be proud of them, but did they have the same limited access that you're going to have here? I mean, I think it's absurd to put the kind of development you're talking about with one entrance, and then across, and you talk about pedestrian traffic in it. I mean, we're old people over here. We don't walk very far. But, you know, maybe it's an upbeat from pot farms and tattoo parlors, but still, I just think you got the wrong ball game in the wrong place.
This gentleman in the Callaway hat has been waiting, I think. So.
Will this project face Sun Lake Boulevard completely? Will the project face Sun Lake Boulevard as you develop it?
I think you guys want to, Ben, that's probably, you're the architect, so.
Yeah, no problem. The right now, the portion of the design that fronts Sun Lakes Boulevard is what is commercial retail. So the retail that Adam mentioned, what right now we have conceptually planned several different retail buildings.
Now, are we looking at a wonderful structure, or are we looking into a giant parking lot for this whole project?
Well, I think we've attempted to conceptualize with some renderings that you're looking into designed landscaped area. There is a parking lot, but it's not a sea of parking. It's just a single row of parking, double parked, but one single drive, so you don't have a sea of parking. And then the retail or commercial buildings, which are low in scale, so they're not large buildings. And so that's what we have conceptualized to this point.
And prior to this meeting, I've stressed to the development team that the Sun Lakes Boulevard frontage is the most sensitive and the most important. And I think at this point, they've done a good job on addressing that. You know, we can do a lot of things with landscaping, low profile buildings, things of that nature. So.
The first thing they need to do is to reduce the speed on Sun Lake Boulevard right now. They posted larger speeds. This should be a 25-mile-an-hour area at least, and they should do that now.
I'll talk to Art, our Public Works Director, first thing in the morning. Is there anybody that hasn't asked? I just want to make sure we get to everyone. Anyone hasn't asked a question? Andrea, we'll go, over here. And more than happy to spend as much time, but I want to make sure we get to everybody within a reasonable time.
You were talking about the engagement between Banning and Beaumont for the Highland Springs extension on the freeway, off the freeway. Why hasn't Beaumont been forced, with all the development they did in the section across from us, to have an overpass themselves off of Pennsylvania Avenue? And all those homes and that facility would be accommodated that way and take half the traffic off of Highland Springs.
I don't think
were they not supposed to, and aren't they still in the process with Caltrans to do that?
So I don't know the exact status of Pennsylvania. I've heard it's on, I've heard it's off, I've heard it's off again.
Well, they take the easy way out and let Banning do it, and they're going to join us to do it instead of doing it themselves like they were supposed to in the first place.
Don't disagree with you. I think in general terms, the previous administration, the previous council and staff at Beaumont did a lot of things they weren't supposed to. Obviously, that's an understatement. They had a $48 million judgment against them. Not all of that was paid. It was settled. I think we can all say with some certainty that all of that is done. The problem is that the improvements that were supposed to be done 10 years ago weren't done. Now we're getting planning to do those, but I think one of the gentlemen said, welcome to California. This is California. It takes many years to do. I mean, I've worked on freeway overpasses and interchanges that take 15 years. It takes a long time. So by the time we're at a point where we should have been 10 years ago, we're going to be about 15 to 20 years behind. That's very unfortunate, and we can't, snap our fingers and just fix all of that. We're working on the major issues, and I think it's best to work together. So Highland Springs and the 10, that is moving forward. We've expressed to all the powers that be, the supervisors, the commission, how important that is. Sun Lakes Boulevard, our public works director and our city manager were able to get funding for that that's a big thing to have that basically shovel ready. So we're working on these things as fast as the rules will let us work. Even if we hired 100 more people, Caltrans is what Caltrans is, and it just doesn't go any faster. Andrea, sorry, we'll just try to go in order here. Yes, sir.
My thought is the same thing, but I look at it this way. When we get the roads corrected and the on-ramps and off-ramps for the freeway and everything corrected and done, then you guys can come back and we'll talk.
I like that idea. Can we hire you? So just a quick housekeeping point. If you do decide to leave, not a problem. Please take the cookies with you. My kids have way too much sugar, and I don't want to take them home. So go right here.
Is there a time frame for Sun Lakes Boulevard?
Sun Lakes Boulevard extension. So the circulation change is going to Planning Commission Wednesday, 2 days, 6:30, City Council chambers. Then it has to go to the City Council. So it should make the last meeting in March. It'll go to City Council. I don't foresee any issue that it will be approved. What's called the RFP, the request for proposal for a firm to come in and design it, has already been published. That's out on the street. After City Council hopefully approves the circulation change, our Public Works Director will hopefully take the contract with the best firm and the best price to City Council to get that contract going. That's about, I'm going to look to our City Manager here. The design for Sun Lakes, 9 months, 18 months? Yeah. We're pushing for as fast as we can design the road. So that whole process is funded. We do have to go through another environmental report. So we're looking at about 9 to 12 months for the design. And then we have a shovel-ready project. We have an estimate. We can go out for funding. So we'd like to go to construction. I think Doug said end of 2021, beginning of 2021? Beginning of 2021. So that's our goal. Moving forward as fast as we can. Yes, sir.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Is it on? Okay. The biggest problem that I see, which is existing right now, is the traffic. Now, we have a bunch of projects still going on under construction. We don't know what the impact that's going to cause traffic-wise. And then with this project on top of that, how are you going to get to the freeway? How many hours is it going to take you to get from one place to another?
What projects are you talking about that are under construction? Are you referring to the Pardee homes?
Yeah, we got the theater coming in. We have all those buildings that are under construction right now. Now, I don't know what half of them are, but by the same token, you know there's going to be traffic and people. Now, I don't know how much we're going to be able to handle in this community with all that traffic and all that business. It's all going to be impossible.
Adam?
Yes.
We're going to have to catch that flight that Adam mentioned in just a couple of moments. So I wanted to leave you with one thought. I mentioned to you that when we bought the property 8 years ago, it was zoned commercial. We have spent millions and millions of dollars in buying the property and carrying it to this point. It allows a multitude of commercial retail types of development, as we've discussed tonight. So what I urge you, as Augie and I leave tonight, is that if you want good development, you've got a team here that care about design and care about the types of uses that are going to go into your property. But I assure you, after spending millions of dollars and knowing the property is zoned as it is, it will get developed. And we will try to minimize the traffic, but there's no point arguing about whether there's going to be traffic or no traffic, or should we want to be able to walk our dog on that property. We just like to leave it as it is. And believe me, I've heard that before. So I think, and if you don't mind me saying it, do yourself a favor and support these guys.
Hi, I'm Doug Schultz, the city manager. Thank you all for being here this evening. A couple things to provide information regarding what Beaumont is doing and what Banning is doing related to transportation. Beaumont is working on Pennsylvania with Caltrans, so that interchange is going to be moving forward with improvement. They're also working on extending Second, which will provide traffic going west. That's going to relieve Highland Springs. And then City of Banning is working on the Sun Lakes Boulevard extension, which will relieve traffic going to the east that won't have to use Highland Springs. So there are a lot of pieces moving. As it's been said more than once, this stuff should have happened years ago. It didn't, so we're playing catch up. And we are working as fast as we can to make it happen. Beaumont is also working to make it happen, but we're working with Caltrans, so there is some delay there.
Yes. I was wondering, as far as time elements go, the left turning lane into the Sun Lake Shopping Center on Highland Springs has been blocked off now well over 2 years, I believe. And I was wondering if that's an indication of Banning and Beaumont working together. If going forward, there are going to be other problems. I was just curious because that's what's jamming up the traffic every lunchtime and every rush hour.
Yeah, agree. It was supposed to be fixed by now. It's not. Beaumont has taken the lead on that, and basically just going to be extending the median from Second all the way to the freeway and removing that left turn pocket, removing the stay clear now striping on the road. So that's just going to be one continuous movement all the way up to Second, and won't have the ugly cones over there. So Beaumont is taking the lead on the design, the construction. I believe the design is done. They should be going to construction here pretty soon. So I know this lady in the front has had a question, and then the gentleman next to the young lady in the red turtleneck. So Andrea right here. No, unless you want, but she's had her hand up for a while. So.
Okay, you made a great presentation. You showed us some very interesting pieces of property there. I think if you want this project, you should make it a destination point for us. Yeah, I like that. We don't have any really nice fine dining. We need to tell him what we want for this project, because that's what he can satisfy our interests and our needs. That's why I think that's what we should, we need these other questions answered, but that's what we need to tell this gentleman. I think one of the things is fine dining, and that theater sounds nice too, something combined. But that's a unique setting. I don't know what type. You know, they used to have dinner theaters. I don't know if people are interested in dinner theaters anymore. That's a suggestion.
Thank you.
Some unique, a destination point that would draw people there.
So see, we're starting to lose folks, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I know the gentleman at the end there has a question, and then we'll take 2 or 3 more questions. I'll stick around and answer any individual questions as you like, and I can give you my card. So this gentleman, then we'll do 2 more.
My question is, how does Caltrans help with congestion on Highland Springs Road? I mean, you got a railroad bridge and a Caltrans bridge there. I mean, I don't see how that helps anything.
They don't. Caltrans is reactive and not proactive, so we bring projects to them, and we go through their process. But it's a responsibility of the cities to make and the counties to make those happen. So.
Hi, I love the idea of having a theater and nice dining. We need that here. We had a nice restaurant, Victor's, that closed instead of fast food. We really need ambiance, and that's what this developer is offering, and I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. One more question.
I have a question for Banning. How come they didn't protect us? Because frankly, we could have stopped this some time ago. You're presenting that we're having a meeting. I've never attended a Beaumont meeting or been notified of a Beaumont meeting or seen a traffic study, which would have failed years ago. I'm sorry, but what I see right now is Banning hasn't protected its citizens. Maybe they'll do a better job in the future.
I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. I want to be respectful of everyone's time, so thank you very much. like I said, I will stick around. I'm available anytime. You can email me, call me. My information's on the website. I have cards. Thank you very much to the team for coming, and have a great night. Appreciate it.